Does anyone have any questions, any other questions for any of the presentations that were given today? Looks like Elliot has a question. When it comes to a micronation's national anthem, is an original composition better than adapting an existing piece? And I'll let you answer that if you'd like, because I know you were talking about culture.
Yeah, I think personally, it's better to either have an original composition or sufficiently warp, mutate, and so on an existing piece. Just taking an existing piece, especially if it's really well known, I don't think it will be a cute look, as they say. That's my personal opinion. Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense. It's like you said in your presentation that when creating your culture, creating your micronation, you want to try to be as creative as humanly possible, not to pull from other cultures
or if you do, to somehow tweak it so that it's just not a straight adaptation of some Inuit clothing item or Native American feather war bonnet or something that you try to somehow skew it or change it sufficiently.
Right, absolutely. Kind of like Dracul, for instance, myself, I was born in Romania, and and our current President Howie's father has ties, has Romanian heritage as well, and so of course instead of just copycatting exactly Romania, we went further back into the history and pulled ancient Vlad III as as basically our Uncle Sam of Dracul. So it's been pretty good.
Yeah.
Claire asks a question. How regularly do you communicate with your ambassadors in order to check in with them, and how to go about it? Go ahead, Travis. I'll let you answer that one. And
so West Arctica has a very robust foreign affairs program. We've got 30 ambassadors, 30 honorary consuls all around the world. And it got so taxing for me that I had to appoint a foreign minister to deal with that because I just couldn't handle it on my own anymore. It was really time consuming. The problem is not so much us checking in with them, it's them wanting to check in with us, so to speak. It kind of became annoying. So the foreign minister's job is to handle all that communication. He generally was doing quarterly updates. He would send out a mass email quarterly saying, hey, what's going on in your district or in your country? Have you done anything that I need to know about? Do you have any questions for me? So he kept it to quarterly updates, and that seemed, which is every 3 months, and that seemed to work pretty well for him. It gave him a reduced workload, and also ensured that each of the consuls was actually doing something. It was pretty easy to figure out who didn't really want to be a consul, who just wanted the title that they are an honorary consul, because they wouldn't even reply to the emails. Okay, well, you missed 2 emails, 2 quarterly reports, you're out, you're fired. It made it very easy for us to figure out who was a good consul and who was not. So my personal advice from my experience managing 30 consuls is quarterly updates are generally pretty good.
All right, very good. Do you have any other questions for any of the speakers at all? Now, we ran over our expected end time a little bit, especially with our data, with some of our technical difficulties, but we managed to fight through that. Absolutely. If you want to speak on that real quick, Nicholas Grand Duke, you're more than welcome to do so.
Okay, thank you, Stephen. So, as you told, it's very important to have a very good protection of your data and personal information of your citizens. But I think you also have the correct use of personal data. Actually, micronations you can compare with cultural organizations, and especially for micronations based in the European Union, or most micronations who have citizens inside the European Union, you need to follow the principles of the GDPR, so the General Data Protection Regulation here in Europe. I think that's, to keep it very simple, is that the basic principle for micronations is to respect the principle of data minimization, sorry for the word. That actually means that you only ask the information you need, nothing more. So if you go to the citizen application of Lost Is Land, for example, I think they ask more than 60, 70 questions, but you need to give everything about your personal life in it. But it's actually, it's also with a reason. They want to avoid people who are getting citizenship in Lost Is Land. Like it's more like avoiding citizenship collectors. So it's you need to have a privacy policy on your website, and you very shortly describe, okay, which kind of information I ask for you for the citizenship, what will I do with that information, with who will share that information, what are your rights, it's also an obligation, but that actually means that if a citizen asks to us, I want that you delete my personal information, it actually means that, okay, thank you, but you're leaving Flanders as a citizen of a micronation. So anything else? So it's very important to have a very clear policy, and you don't share information to other micronations. That's just a bit pure basic principles.
Right. And, you know, and another thing too, to talk about when it comes to collecting personal data too, is you really have to be mindful of all of the laws of different countries, which can make it very, very time consuming to look into all those laws. For instance, in the United States, we also have the COPA law, the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, which was put into effect in 97, I believe it was, by Bill Clinton. That does not, that right there does not allow collection of people under the age of 13 in the United States. So there's other things like that too, because according to Bill Clinton's COPA law, which was passed by the Congress, of course, children under the age of 13 cannot consent to give out their personal information to especially strangers. And that's why so many websites that you go to will have the little terms of service agreement say, I am, you know, like I'm, you know, especially kid websites like Disney, like when you go to play games on Disney.com and it says I'm over the age of 13 when you're registering an account, because it's COPA law. So keep things like that into perspective too. And I know a lot of people say, well, you know, I want everybody of all ages to be able to come into my micronation. I don't want to limit it to just, you know, 13 or older. You know, in that case, maybe just ask for their first name, their email, and just leave it at that, you know, when it comes to that. Because, you know, if, you know, 11-year-old's mother finds out, you know, that you have, you know, 30 pages of information on their 11-year-old, they might not be too pleasant to hear about that. So there's so many different laws that come into play. Just be mindful, like Grand Duke Nicholas and what others have said, be mindful of what you ask for, and only ask for really what you need, not asking 60 questions like Nicholas mentioned. So anyways,
maybe if I can conclude that, I think that the biggest problem now in the micronational community is the lack of respect for privacy, especially a lot of micronational activity is online. everyone behind the computer, behind the screen of his computer believes they are powerful people, and they, especially in micronational conflicts, they don't think to the consequences of some publications using people's real name. But also, if you make some accusations, I publish it online on the internet with its real name, it can have negative measures for the person. For example, you're going to soliciting, getting a new job, and your future boss is Googling your name and find some page about micronationalism and some fake accusations, for example. So I think that's right now, especially the biggest problem in micronational community is that people, and especially younger micronationalists, don't think twice before they publish something online.
Absolutely. That goes right into what Grand Duke Travis was talking about with the whole micronational warfare, you know, especially when it goes virtually, like on social media, for example, you know, publishing people's information online because you disagree with them, and then, you know, trying to slander someone and their name and getting them fired from their job and stuff like that. Completely unacceptable behavior. And it doesn't speak for the rest of the micronational community when you engage in activity like that. It's one thing to have a disagreement, but when you start leaking personal data because of a disagreement, it's where most of us draw the line. So take a look here. We're about to wrap this up because we're now coming up on 2 hours and 30 minutes, but it's been a very good conference and we've talked about quite a bit of information. So it certainly wasn't going on a tangent for nothing. We certainly talked about quite a bit. And for those who were unable to attend and to speak on their topics today, such as Thomas and Ramesses, what we'll do is I will get in touch with them hopefully later today. I will see if they would like to record a presentation on their topic. And what we will do is we will then upload that along with the rest of this presentation so you get all of it together. So do any of the speakers have anything they'd like to address or talk about or anything at all before we wrap it up? All right. Well, I would like to thank you all again, especially those who are staying up till like 3 o'clock in the morning over in Asia and Australia for participating in the first micro workshop for 2021. We certainly appreciate everyone's attendance and everyone who got up early for this, and especially our speakers over in Nevada and California for your early rising. And we will speak to you all later. So thank you everyone for attending. Have a great rest of your day. And we will be uploading this to the Dracul One News YouTube channel